Was Rice in the single wing?
in the single wing.
Yeah.
Now, Rice is unique because there's a lot of two tight ends, three tight ends, two backs in the backfield. So it's something we had to work on. It's just different. We're used to seeing spread stuff, or we're used to seeing fast pace, and now we're going to see three tight ends in a huddle. So it's different. We'll have to be different. It's something that we have run in the past in terms of spring football and fall camp, but we have to refresh it. So we took all yesterday and just worked on two tight end, two back, and three tight end, two back, because that was our full padded day, and really, really physical practice, because we know what they like to try to do with the football, and they're going to try to pound it, cut the game in half, and extend drives. And it's not option football, but the mentality is very much like option football.
When you went through the film,
Yeah.
What did you see, and what were some of the breakdowns that you saw?
Yeah, when you look at it, I was, the way that we played, how hard we played, and how physical we played, it was a huge positive. I've been here in the past when you get on this stage and, you see guys get knocked around. I didn't see that at all. Joe made some really good throws, and I think, we're very close to making some of those plays, and there's still a small hesitation with it. I also say to myself is there's a lot of things that I could have done to help those guys out. So, when you evaluate the film, to me, it's not about the kids. I look at it personally, and I say, what can we do to help some of these guys out? But then when you watch the film for the 20th time and you say to yourself, man, this guy's an arm length away from making this play. He's really close to doing it. I think, but there is a lot of positives. And I know you get enamored with yards and all this stuff to go into it, but you really, really dissect the game itself. And there's just a handful of critical plays that if we come up with, or we get our hand on one, or we get off the field on third down, and even you look at the 3rd and 17, just inches away from getting our offense another possession. So, like I said before, and as a coach, myself and as the coordinator, to me, it's on me to get these guys in some better positions. And I love this group in terms of the way that they competed out there.
So what are the things that you need to do then, better coach, as far as getting them in there? Does that
No,
schemes or something like that, or what?
well, when you're looking at overall schemes, after, when you get into it, I mixed it around like crazy the other night. So it was, some off the ball stuff, some blitz, some regular stuff, some 4 down, some 3 down. So to me, it's just finding out exactly when you're going against guys like that, of what guys, how they can hold up and what they can. So without, getting into like, hey, this is what we're going to do, or, how we're going to perform it. To me, I always thought it this way. If you're going to lead a group, you're going to take responsibility for some of the stuff that I could have done personally better, but those kids played their tails off. They were physical, and they played really, really hard. So that's stuff that we'll get corrected.
One thing that Joe said he said that you mentioned is that you got on him for not communicating enough.
Yeah.
So was that all the linebackers? Or?
No, it's just when you get into that, and when you get onto the field, and you've got 100,000 people, and they're going up tempo, and you're trying to get calls in there. Sometimes there can be like, hey, I got the call, and we just got to do a better job, especially with some of our younger guys, of just over communicating. There's nothing wrong with yelling out the call. Those guys don't know what our calls are,
Right.
Just scream it out, and that way we can reduce the part of a guy really, really tired, a guy getting lined up, guy coming from this type of play, and it helps us. So we really, really went after him on Tuesday of like, it was like out of control, like talk. Yeah. When we do a little bit of a tempo drill every day where we kind of fast pace them and make them talk. And I think we got our point across there.
They're going to scream now?
What's that?
You're going to scream them out now? Is that what
No,
you're saying?
no. We're saying it's just the overall communication. When you take a call,
Yeah.
sometimes that the nature of it is like, I got the call.
Yeah.
But you have some guys that are up front and some guys that maybe somebody missed it. So we're really going out of our way to try to echo, all 11 guys to echo the call, so make sure that we get lined up and we know what we're doing.
And that's what I asked Joe. Because I think I wonder if it's a lot of guys doing this, that going from the backup to the full-time guy. There's a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah,
still.
well, it's, to me, it's just the
Just getting
environment.
adjusted.
Yeah, just getting adjusted to, I just went against a 320-pound guy that's pretty good, and now all of a
Right.
sudden I've got to get my wits. And by the way, they already spotted the football, and by the
Right.
way, they're ready to snap it. And it's like, if you don't have a lot of playing experience, like you're not going to have Malcolm Roach make a lot of mistakes, because Malk's been in those battles, but like a Colburn comes to mind, where it's like, There was a couple plays where it was lined up like a shade off, and it was like, what was going on? It was like I was a little bit unsure. I didn't see it. I was coming off of this play. So that's all stuff that's correctable. That pace was hot and heavy on both sides of it. I mean, you could tell when it got into the fourth quarter, both defenses were really getting strained by the pace. And to me, it's something that we practice every day, but we really went out of our way, if Joe's saying it, to over-communicate and don't worry about, people knowing what we're saying. That's irrelevant. They're ready to snap the ball.
Do you worry about the corners and confidence after a game like that? Because it was so close. And
Well,
the plays.
here's what I'll say is, there going to be a small amount of growing pains with some of that. Those kids know, what we do at times is put them by themselves. They know that. Our front seven recognizes that. So it's not where they sit back and say, like, our guys are sitting there. I would be more concerned if it came internally from the group that says, what's going on. Our guys know the kind of pressure they're put on and whether or not they can hold up or not. So I didn't see that on Sunday. I myself went in there and talked to the group, and I told them, I said, I was emotional too, and I was like, I love this group. I love how hard they play. I love how much they care, and I'm going to help you. So it has, to me, nothing to do with them. I just keep going, just keep swinging, keep going, keep fighting, because we're really close to breaking through to the other side.
So does that mean are you going to stick with Jalen and Kobe?
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, those guys go back out, and like I said, and I say that from watching yesterday's practice and from what I saw on the field today. So once again, I told you guys this beforehand. This is not going to be set in stone. This is going to be in practice, and I'll tell you, I think Jalen has a chance. He really does. He's very, very close, and I think it's going to take just a handful of making some plays, and then all of a sudden he's going to really start to believe. Then you're going to see something elite.
Are you comfortable with your guys playing press?
Am I comfortable?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely am. Because in this game, if you play off and you get somebody catching a ball in front of you in space, it's really, really hard. I think if the more confidence you have in press, the more confidence you can get your hands on people. If you make people, in my opinion, Chip, but fade balls and outside balls are a lot easier to play than sitting there trying to read three-step and playing off of a guy, because remember, you still got to tackle the guy too. I mean, you can be in front of them and not get beat deep, but you got to tackle these guys in space, which can be challenging too.
You blitz a lot of safeties, and
Yeah.
safeties are typically the over-the-top coverage, the cover two stuff. Is that
Well, to me, it's you have to, in our opinion, going into the game is, do you want Joe back there patting the ball all day and finding windows and finding holes, and how long do you want to do it? So we tried to go after him. We started off the game in coverage. We tried to go after him a couple times, got him a couple times, tried to back off him, tried to go back after him again. So to me, there are change-ups that go into the game. And I think, being one-dimensional and doing something all the time, it doesn't take much, because remember, they go up to the ball as fast as they can. You're one-dimensional. They go up top, look at the box, and see what you're in, and then, you can be crosshairs. So in my opinion, my feel, my instincts told me to go at least hit him a couple times and make him uncomfortable. I thought he did a great job of hanging in there, because we probably had him on the ground probably 15 times. So, he's a tough nut. He's really got my respect. Some of those balls he threw were like elite throws too.
well, you had a timeout with 2:38 left on the 3rd and 17.
Yeah.
Did you think about putting Cowboy in just because it'd been
No.
so productive?
No, I didn't, because I knew exactly. In my opinion, when they came out there, it was like, this guy's trying to win the game. And then we looked at our thing and said, okay, we're going to try to win the game. So that call was. Like the second that we sacked him, that call was coming, whether it was 3rd or 4, 3rd or 7, 3rd or 13, 17, it didn't matter. It was like, hey, listen, we're sending the house, told our guys to play off. In hindsight, the only thing is that Chris had the back. We're bringing 6 and Chris had the back. If we had to do it all over again, I'd have told Chris, hey, because Chris plays it from depth. So I said, Chris, line up right next to Jeff, and the second he blocks Jeff, I want you to go. And then we got him before he has a chance to go. So that's the only thing that, and I told this to the staff, I wish I could have had, I think it was a 30-second timeout, so it was like in and out. And I told the kids, I said, hey, here we go. This is it. Because my thought is, and I've always done this in practice, is I've always felt like, let's put the pressure on them. Let's not sit back and all of a sudden can't go to sleep at night because he had all day, somebody broke a coverage. I mean, there's a handful of plays. One of the ones down in the tight red zone, we went all out and Joe got him. I mean, they had a couple guys that were wide open, but the pressure actually saved us. And I had that feeling like, hey, they're going to take these guys down the field, try to run all verticals. And I figured like that's going to buy some time for this pressure to get there. And he made a slip slide play, and it was, we're just a hair late on it. But I would not look at that and have any regrets on that call at all.
Do you anticipate having to use 4 linebackers on the field at one time
Sure.
for this game? And what does that group look like?
This week, it's going to be McCulloch. It will be Osai on the outside, Jawan, and Deli inside. So those will be your
So
4.
McCulloch will be back outside?
Correct. That's our plan right now. So, obviously we have some flexibility with some other guys that can play out there. But those, I mean, I think 1-2, with the exception of they do run 11 personnel, you're going to see a whole bunch of those guys, which I'm excited to see. I mean, Deli has proved to us that, that he can play at this level, and I'm excited to watch Jawan play. So, I mean, for those guys, they're fired up. They were, yesterday's practice, they were super physical. So I'm excited.
Caden Stern said he's probably watched that 3rd and 17 play more than anybody in the building. What do you tell a player like that?
He knows. I mean, to me, it's like, if there's anybody that cares, and I think from our standpoint, once you get with that first group, I mean, he cares so much that, I mean, what do you say to him? What does my wife say to me when that happens? You know what I'm saying? It's like, we all know. I mean, we know as a play caller, we know as a player, we know, and it's like, hey, man, we have a saying, let's go 1-0. Okay, so when things don't go right, okay, we're 0-1. Let's not go 0-2. Let's let this thing go. You know what I'm saying? That's my biggest thing is like, we all woke up on Sunday. We all feel a mess. Okay, let's go watch this film and figure out the why. Why did this happen? I know exactly what happened, but why did it happen? And that's what you sit with the kids and you piece it through, and it can be a tremendous bonding thing too. A tremendous time where you can sit down with your guys and say like, hey man, I'm with you 1,000%. But let's talk about this. Why did this happen? Why did you do this? So in my opinion, when you get into these games where you're close and there's so many little things that get ironed out, when we get them ironed out, and in my opinion, I think the kids know it, and I think it's going to drive them to be even closer as a group.
Your defensive line
Time for 2 last
doesn't
ones.
have sack numbers or quarterback hurry numbers. Concern? Is that
No,
design?
no, it's we've played 2 teams that are throwing the ball on rhythm and timing. A lot of the times they don't get a chance to get there, and then the sacks that we've had have been coming from outside rushers. So it has nothing to do with those guys. Those guys can rush the passer. I thought Malcolm Roach played lights out. I really did. I sent him a text I think it was 2 nights ago or last night, can't remember, and I said, hey, listen, I know you feel really bad about this, but he played really well. I thought Chris Brown played really, really well. Joe Asai played well. So, I mean, there are some things. I don't mind that. Malcolm's going to end up with his.
And the elite defenses, you hate to depend on linebackers or
defensive
backs to get your pressure, right?
Absolutely.
So,
but, I mean, to me, that some of the scheme that we're seeing on 1st and 2nd down, and then us going into Cowboy where, the Osai's count as defensive linemen, the Jeff McCullochs,
Right.
they still count because we're running some of those guys. So it's a little bit scheme too.
Yeah.
What do you do without Foster?
Well, right now it's we made the transition with Brandon Jones at nickel, and I thought he was really, really solid. It was nice seeing somebody go on a slot and cover him up. I think we've seen that in the past where some of our nickels have been beat up a little bit. So right now it's kind of by committee. We'll look at the film. We'll say, hey, this guy's the next available guy, but more than likely you'll see Brandon still remain at nickel. We like what he did last week, and we'll keep him there. And like I said beforehand, because this is such a unique deal with 21, 22, and 32 personnel, I don't know how many of those DBs are going to have to roll in there anyway.
Coach,
Last one?
that 1st and 10 towards the end of the first half, where Burrow was able to get the touchdown.
Yeah.
Was everyone in position on that play? Because it looked like Thompson, he hesitated and his man got behind, but he was still there.
1st and 10, the ball, the
20 to
seam
7.
ball.
Yeah, seam right.
Yeah.
And single high coverage.
Yeah, it was. We were blitzing a safety. Thompson had the back, and you know what? hell of a back shoulder throw and a hell of a catch, to be honest with you. And there's, you get into some of those situations where a guy throws a ball, and Josh isn't the longest guy, so that's a really, really tough play for him. But once again, just goes back to just trying to keep some pressure on him to see if he can make the throw, and he made the throw.
There's always things that guys need to continue to work on, but he's having a good start to the season, certainly.
Tim, what'd you tell Keanu to? Either Saturday night or Sunday or in the films or?
Oh, just, he's just got to keep working. I mean, we believe in him, we love him, and I think he's a hell of a back. And sometimes guys have great games, sometimes they have good games, sometimes they have average games. And I think his continue to grow as a football player, he's continuing to get better. He missed a lot of football with the injury. So each and every time he goes out there, he's going to continue to get better, and we're behind him, and he's got to quit being so hard on himself. He's been playing this game. He's hard on himself, and he's been playing this game for a long time as a young kid, and he's really talented, and he just needs to go back to that and have fun and play the game.
What'd you like and what didn't you like after watching the film?
Obviously, I thought our guys played really hard. I thought our offensive line was outstanding. Played hard, physical. I think the whole team did. Devin ran the ball hard. You saw blocking downfield hard. I thought Sam gutted things out. I thought our effort, our toughness was there. I thought that we battled regardless of the score, regardless of the time on the clock. We just weren't as good in the red zone early in the game as I would have liked to have been. But we overcame that, and we still had opportunities at the end, and that's all you can ask for.
Is this the best tackle group, offensive tackle group that you've coached while here in Austin?
Yes.
Why has not only Sam been able to make the jump, switching from right to left tackle in his third year, but also Derek, being the utility knife and then sticking at right tackle also in his third year?
I think Herb takes a lot of credit. I think that he's done a great job with those guys. I think also, Sam's played the left tackle a lot of his career. And, as far as Derek, I think 2 years ago he was our starting right tackle. So it's not like he hasn't played the position at the collegiate level. And I think a lot of people are missing our guards. Those guys are good now. Physical. They can move. They love contact. They love just hitting people. And obviously we're super strong up the center with Shaq. So I really like that group.
As far as your guards, there are two guys, one from an option offense in college, one from an option offense in high school.
Yeah.
When did you kind of realize, these guys get pass blocking? They can do it, and it's not a adjustment. It's a thing they can do now.
Yeah, I think for the most part is you never know what you can do till you start to do it, right? It's just assumed because they don't pass the ball a lot, they don't know how to pass block. That's not true. They're both are really good athletes that can move. That allows and contributes to the fact that they are good pass blockers. Both of them are. And they want to, right? These guys want to get better. They want to learn. And they're good football players. So I think all of that combined has helped.
Did they do anything to take Colin out of that game? Should he be allowed to be taken out of a game like that?
They did a couple of things. We had our some matchups. We didn't always convert on them with Colin. We probably could have moved him around a little bit more than we did. I don't know. I think yes to all of them.
You'll need to look for him more in the red zone, take advantage of his height.
Yeah, it's, again, a lot of it depends on how they play. If they're bracketing them, a lot of times you don't have that, and you got to try to run the football on that sometimes.
Did you feel like they doubled him a lot or just shaded a safety?
Well, combination. I think they were trying to read the quarterback and trying to figure out if he was looking that way, they were doubling him. If they weren't, then he wasn't.
Tim, do you have any concerns about maybe you guys getting a little too predictable near the goal line? Because it seems like the whole world thinks, all right, here comes Sam on quarterback power. And obviously the pass play was a huge change up, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that from a self-evaluation standpoint?
Sometimes maybe. I don't know. I think that there's enough formations, enough different things that we do out of those formations. You still got to prepare for everything, right? You still got to. One minute we're talking how great Devin's playing and throw the ball to Colin. The next minute we're talking about Sam running it. So
Right.
I know what are you going to do? Like,
Right.
and then we just try to go off of that. You go into a plan based on what you see on film. Doesn't always equate that plan's what they're going to do against you, and you have to try to make adjustments. Which I thought, as a staff, we made great adjustments at halftime because they were different than what we thought or had prepared for, and it showed. I thought in the second half.
Sam and Derek are both three-star kids that you guys flipped late during your transition class. What has been the key to their development over these past 3 years, do you think?
Again, I think two guys that want to. Right, there's a lot of want to in those guys. I think Coach McKnight and his staff in the strength and conditioning program, which has allowed them. They're both really strong football players, and they've become more flexible. They can bend more. They're powerful. They're athletic, and that all equates to confidence. And then when you start having that confidence, you start playing better, I think. And those two guys right now, you can see that in them.
What did Roshan show you, and is he going to get more carries?
You know, I loved his energy. He brought a lot of energy, and he wasn't shy at all. You know, sometimes you wonder, you get a true freshman in a big game like that. He was up to the moment, and I think that surprised all of us a little bit. We kind of figured maybe he might be a little bit, caught in the light, so to speak, but he didn't. Played really well. Played hard. Made some really nice plays in the course of the game, some protection things. I mean, played really well for us.
Andrew was such a big piece of this team last year, obviously, and how would you sort of assess what Cade and Reese have been able to do sort of relative to how important Andrew was last year?
Yeah, it's always, it is hard to replace an Andrew Beck, right? And every year, that same question will come up, or in the LJs, or next year the Colin Johnsons, right? You're always going to have those questions. So I think it's not a fair assessment after 2 games to say how does it look. I like what those two guys are doing. I think they bring a lot to the table for us, and they're both playing really well right now.
What did LSU do to throw y'all off first half that you weren't expecting?
Just some of that, I don't know if you want to call it bracket coverage type stuff and things that they were doing in the secondary wise a little bit.
Will this be a good time to hopefully get playing time for Casey, get him some reps?
Well, yeah, we got to win the game, first and foremost. So whatever we got to, like I tell people all the time, like nothing's a given. We got to prepare, and we got to prepare hard as if we're playing LSU or the, Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't make a difference. It's still about us. We got to take care of the football. We got to play hard, and we got to play with great effort. And so, if we do those things, then I like our chances.
Where's he making most progress?
Casey, he's just continuing to learn the offense, right? And protection-wise, things like that. Like I told you a couple weeks ago, he's a really bright future ahead of him. He really does. He just has to continue to put all the pieces together. And each week, as you get a new game plan, it's like you got to start all over again sometimes.
Not a ton of reps for Jake, obviously, behind Devin, but does it sort of feel like a luxury to be able to bring a guy like him off the bench for
No doubt.
reps a game? Yeah.
No doubt. I mean, it was evident. We threw that corner route that Devin just missed. Probably a little tired. He just ran 2 bubble routes and a reverse. Then we threw the corner route to him. He was a little bit tired. We were tempoing, so we couldn't really get Jake in the game. We put Jake in the game the next play, and he scores a touchdown because he's fresh and can run. So certainly having a guy like him that could come in and still run and be a playmaker like Devin is, that certainly helps us.
Did you have something like 8 called runs for Sam, or was it more than that? Or?
I don't know. I don't put a count on that stuff. I don't. Whatever we got to do to win the game.
Since Roshan's moved over to running back, who's taking his reps at quarterback, or are you just going with this?
Casey.
Roshan doesn't get any work at quarterback.
At this point, no. He was until Jay Witt went
Right.
down, and then we kind of moved him.
The pass that Keontae dropped, did you work on that all week? And did he
We did.
ever drop it, or did he catch it?
No, he caught them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach, what have you thought of Brendan Eagles so far?
Yeah,
His last game?
I know. He's been playing really well. And again, that threat to the field, Now you got to be careful of, hey, we got to worry about Colin Johnson. I know we got the leading receiver, I think, in the Big 12 in Devon, and you got Brennan Eagles, who's, I don't know what he's averaging per catch, but he's got a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns in
What do you
2
think of
games.
just the sheer focus of him being able to track that ball with the guy basically flashing in front of him?
Yeah, he's
That seemed like
talented.
that was the best part of the play.
Yeah, he's talented. Brennan's really talented. And to think that, he played sparingly last year. His ceiling is huge as well. The
Right.
more reps he gets, he's just getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Scary, really.